Hey folks, this is Billy DKY, the truth seeker that simplifies and demystifies. Today we're going to be talking about God's plan, world government, and 9/11. Hopefully this video will either put an end to that argument or at least initiate the beginning and the end of this argument and thought process. But who knows, maybe it won't. I'm not for sure if this is going to be 1, 2, or 3 videos. I have to limit it to 10 minutes, but you'll be able to look at the title and tell how many videos there are in this series. Okay, let's just start with the first thing. Let's start with 9/11. You know, I'm just like anybody else. When 9/11 happened, I thought, wow, man, terrorists, Actually, the first building got hit, I'm thinking, wow, that's a really bad accident. Then the second one got hit, I knew it wasn't no accident, just like most of you did. And, I believed the official story for a long time. Then I started watching some videos on YouTube, the loose change and the like, and I didn't want to believe it. I didn't want to believe my country could do that because, I wanted to believe in the illusion that, the United States is not that kind of country. We wouldn't do that to ourselves. We're good people. We're not like the rest of the world. However, as I watched the videos, more and more testimony from different people, I come to realize that, the evidence is overwhelming. So then I backed away from it all, and I asked myself this question, and this is really the question that set me free from believing our country didn't do it. I asked the question, I said, what would a person do to get power? And I realized the question is anything. And a person who has power, what do they want more of? More power. What do they do to get it? Anything. Once you realize that's really how people are, you realize, killing some people and running them into a building is really no stretch of the imagination. Those people want power. So that set me free. But it set me free from the delusion that we live in some kind of utopia in the United States versus the rest of the world. We don't. However, it also set in a long road of fear, conspiracy theories, and just paranoia in general, anger, aggression, just all kinds of emotions. Okay, so let me take a look. Okay, so then now I need to back up a little bit. I've been on a spiritual journey for like the last 8 years, and I really don't care what I do as long as it's in God's plan. At one time I thought going to the woods was God's plan. Just basically living in harmony with nature, just like a wild animal. And I even did it for 30 days out on my dad's farm. And something just didn't feel right, so I came back to society. Well, anyway, I'm sitting here one day, and I'm looking out the window, and I'm asking myself, instead of thinking I know what God's plan is, thinking I already know, I asked the question, God, what is your plan? What? And it hit me like a ton of bricks. Progressive, sustainable illusions. So let's talk about it. So basically, I got it by looking at a tree. And basically it's like this. You look from the Big Bang forward to this tree. This tree's been evolving, progressing, sustaining. And it is an illusion. All creations are illusions, regardless if you want to believe they are or not. They are illusions. Just like I tell people, if you look at a painting, what's more real, the paint or the painting? And the paint's obviously more real. And likewise in this tree, the essence of what this tree is made of is more real than the illusion of the tree. However, so notice what I said. God's plan is progressive, sustainable illusions. So notice this tree has been progressing from the Big Bang forward, and it's also sustainable. It drops seeds and it reproduces, and it's continued to go forward, and that's why it's here today. Like I say, that which works proliferates. So God's plan is progressive, sustainable living. I didn't realize that fact, me looking for God's guidance in my life, would lead to the unraveling of the mysteries of world government 9/11. But however, that wisdom did set me free from the anxiety and paranoia. Okay, let me see where I'm at again here. Okay. So basically, what you come to find out is God's plan is progressive, sustainable illusion. That's not only going on with the tree. It's not only going on with me. It's going on with the whole world. God's plan is to progress in a sustainable way. So let's talk about, let me see here, blah, blah, blah. Let's start with the United States. The United States started out being a couple of I don't know, I think it's 13 states was the original, 13 independent states. They eventually they eventually gave up a little bit of their rights to form a bigger union. And notice what that's progression. And likewise, likewise, all the countries of the world are going to have to give up a little bit of their rights so we can live under one big umbrella instead of these nationalist little states, one global world. Okay, let's see. So I don't get lost in my thoughts here. Okay. Okay, so let's go back to the United States. So why did 9/11 happen then? Well, let's go back to God's plan, progressive, sustainable illusion. Now, let me back off. First, you need to understand a core concept of opposites. Good and evil always oppose each other. There's a balance between good and evil. If you look at the yin and yang symbol, you'll see that if in the center of darkness there's a little speck of white, and in the center of blackness there's a little, in the center of whiteness there's a little speck of black. And basically what that's saying is if good goes too far, evil will come in and bring it back. If evil goes too far, good will come in and bring it back. There's a balance between them. And what I'm telling you is you need to get away from the good-evil paradigm. And a second thing you need to realize is that utopia. We've seen a lot of cult leaders that they always profess to have, they're going to take people to utopia. Like I can't remember all the names, but they always profess the same thing. We're going to take you to utopia. Notice what's happening. That's clinging to the good. And what always happens when utopia happens? Death. Death is always the end result of utopia. And so the point is, when you cling to the idea of goodness, you're going out of harmony with God's way, and it leads to death. Likewise, in America, we cling to goodness, and as a result, we set a situation up where we cannot progress in God's plan. So things have to come along that set us in motion. I believe 9/11 is an inside job based on evidence. And if you don't believe it, you probably should go look at Loose Change. Watch that video. It's a very excellent video and just point out and just go watch and hear all the evidence and make your own mind up. But I think it's an inside job. So what happened is we're clinging to this notion of goodness. So now notice it's probably not as and it's in a way it's a milder form of utopia than the spiritual leaders profess, but it's still a form of utopia. And as a result, clever people have to come around and do things to make us to move forward in God's plan. Like I said, if you go too far towards goodness, evil will come in and bring it back. Even if it ain't an inside job, evil's still going to come in and move us forward. Second thing you need to understand about progress, if you cling to the past, you're standing in the way of progress. So that's another contributing factor to 9/11 being an inside job. We were caught up in being good people, and we're caught up in clinging to the past. Things have to come in to move us to move forward towards God's plan. And it could be clever people, it could be evil people. It don't, whatever. I want to make sure, blah, blah, blah. Okay, and let's go back to world government. So God's plan is world government. I think it's pretty obvious. And if you look, let's even think about what you're looking at right now. You're looking at a video on the internet. You may not even be an American. You may be in Australia. You may be in Britain or something like that. The internet's a global thing. It brings all countries together, and you don't really hear a lot of people complain about it. It's a good thing in general. Now, obviously, no entity in itself is either good or bad. It's how it's used. So the internet's not necessary. I mean, it is. I think it is a productive thing. I think it's part of God's plan of a progressive, sustainable illusions. Likewise, world government is the same thing. It's going to bring countries together, and it's going to be part of God's progressive, sustainable illusion. World government in itself is neither a good thing or a bad thing, just like the internet's neither a good thing or a bad thing. It's just part of the plan. And yes, there's good people on the internet and there's bad people on the internet. And again, that harmony will always be, there's a harmony that will always be achieved between good and evil. You can't squash evil out. You can't squash good out. It can't be done. It's an impossible endeavor. Likewise, world government's the same way. So anyway, I'm getting ready to cut short on this video. I'm about 30 seconds left. In the second video, we're going to start off with some benefits of world government. And after you start really thinking about it, get past your paranoia and whatnot, you'll start seeing there's a lot of benefits to world government, and you won't be fighting it so much. And you let go of the paranoia, and you won't get hurt in the transition to world government. So anyway, this is the end of this one, and I'll start a second.